Hey guys, I just want to say thanks for checking out my website and thank you for checking out this video. I wanted to do a video for this program primarily because there's no real way for me to take a screenshot of what this program actually does. So first, I just want to give you guys a little bit of a brief rundown on the code that made this program happen, and then I'll show you the program and how it's automated. So let's start at the program.cs file. What this is pretty much, here we have a hard-coded path going to the Windows form. You can see that there. That's a hard-coded path. So down here we have our object, where we're creating the new object and referencing the application path. So when the console application loads, you'll see press any key to launch the application. We're going to press a key and it'll read it saying, hey, somebody's pressed this key. And then you'll see launching application form and the application path. Next you're going to see an if-else statement down here, right here, where we're saying if the application launches successfully, we will say so. If not, we're going to show an error message, just letting the user know that something happened, something went wrong. So we're going to assume that it says application launched successfully, and then it's going to say press any key to send form input, and then it's going to read our key again. So whenever this happens, what it does is it inputs data into the form that will cause an error. This that you're seeing right here is the validation for the form input. So when it handles that error and says, hey, something was wrong, that 6, 0, and 3 is what's going to be entered in next. And you'll see form input was successful on the console application. And if it's not successful, you'll see exception when attempting form input in the error message. So these are the three numbers that are actually going to make the program work after the validation and the error message has popped up. So let's go over here to automation.cs. First you'll see the class members and where we're instantiating everything and declaring our variables. And then right here you'll see where we do all of our user32 DLL imports to make it happen. And now you're going to see the constructor. So right here is the constructor where we actually say, hey, this is the application path. And so we get down to the launch application method, or function, the launch application function. And what this does is it says, hey, try to open this application. If it can't open, then give us an error message. So you'll see process start info, pinfo equals new process start info with the application path, that hard-coded path. And so it says start info equals pinfo, going to the application path, start function, and then the success of this starting is true. If it is not true, we're going to go down to catch exception. Success was false. So we're going to give an error message saying, hey, something went wrong. And then we're going to return success. If we keep going down, you'll see close application function. So all this does is it closes the main window. We're going to try to close that window. And if we can't, we're going to provide another error message. And then we're going to return success here as well. Down here is the run form process with the first number we're going to input, the first number 2 we're going to input, and then the good number 2. So remind you, I said that we're going to input one number, select an operand, input another number, but that first one is going to be bad. That's what I was talking about right here, the bad number. So when we handle that error and input the second number to make it a good number so we can do the math, that's that good number right there. So first we're going to make it empty. The exception message is empty. And then we're going to try to do this. So you'll see the try right here. And the catch way down here. So this is where we're actually mimicking someone physically entering information into the form. So we're going to send these keystrokes to the buffer. So you'll see tab, down 4 times, tab. Well, first up here is the enter num1 to string. So that's where the first number goes in. Tab. So this is the order in which we're doing it. Enter the first number, tab down to the combo box, click the down arrow 3 times, tab down, put in the bad number, tab down, hit enter. And so when we hit enter, it says, hey, there's an error. And we're going to hit enter again. And that clears out the error message. And then we're going to start back tabbing to get rid of that number that caused us to have the error. So right now what we've made go in there is a divide by 0 error. You'll see 6 divided by 0. We'll get an error, hit enter to clear out the error, and then we'll back tab back up, backspace to get rid of the 0, and then we'll input a good number so that we can divide those numbers and get a result. And then we'll tab down and hit enter. So if this can't be done, we'll get another error message just for validation purposes and saying, hey, something went wrong, if it did. And then we'll return success again. So up here where we referenced all these backspace, tab, enter, down, this is where all of that is actually happening. So case tab, this is what's happening. Case enter, this is what's happening. So each one of those have been declared here, and what's actually going to happen when we say, hey, tab down, hey, press enter. And this is just a for loop that runs through to allow us to enter those numbers into the form. So it's going to go through it 3 times. You'll see 6, 0, and 3. And you'll actually, it's funny because when you run this code, you'll actually see the numbers get input here. So, and then of course for dramatic effect, thread.sleep 500, just so we can kind of slow it down and see what's happening. And you'll see the notes here. If you wanted a little more information on these, you'll see by each one, you'll see press the shift key is what this does. Press the tab key is what this does. Release the tab key right here. And then release the shift key so that we can actually see what's going on with the back tab. Because it takes a couple buttons to back tab. But anyway, there's that, a little more information on that. So, now let's go to the form. Let's look at the design first. So you'll see here, this is the first number, so text box, a combo box, and the second text box. And then we have a label that will change to be the result of the operations and the calculator. So if we go to the combo box and click on that little bitty arrow right there, you'll see where I made these hard-coded into the combo box. We have the plus sign, minus sign, multiply, and divide sign. So when you see these referenced in the switch case statement in the actual code, you'll know what I'm talking about and where it's referenced. Let's go on over here. So here's where we're just taking that text box I just showed you guys and making it empty, making all the conversions, to decimal or to string, like I just showed you what we put in the combo box. So here's where we're actually making it a string for the operands. And then we have our do the math. And so we got decimal num total equals do the math, num1, num2, and the operand. So once it gets to this point, it goes all the way down here. You can see we've referenced the same variables here. And then, so for the operand, it's in a switch statement, and it goes down to each case, and like in the form, or in the code where we talked about hitting the down key 4 times, this is where we're actually going through plus, minus, multiply, divide. So once we hit the down arrow 4 times and we get here, we're going to take num1 divided by num2. And it's going to be stored in retval. Now if by chance we wanted to go change it to be down arrow to 1, we'd get add and it would go here, which is perfectly fine. And still store in retval, go down there. If we put something in that wasn't in this switch case, it will throw an exception saying, hey, I don't recognize that. So anyway, once that's done, it's stored in retval. We come back up here and do the math equals num total. And then that num total to string, because the label is a string, you have to have a string to put in there, goes to label2.text, which is the label I showed you guys earlier, right here. So that is pretty much it. I'm going to run the form, go over it one more time, and hopefully you guys like it. So let me get over here to this other one. Alright, so here is the console application. We see press any key to launch the application. I'm going to press the space bar. Here's our form. So like I said, you see launching application and you see the path which it took to get there. Application launched successfully. Press any key to send form input. I'm going to press space again. When I press space, you're going to see 6 go into first number. You're going to see that tab down in operation down to the divide symbol. You're going to see it enter 0 into the second number. Hit calculate, and it's going to pop up an error box or an error message, and we're going to hit enter to cancel out of that and get out of it. And we're going to tab back up, backspace to get rid of the 0, and enter another number, and then hit calculate again. So here we go. Alright, so that is it. I hope you guys liked it. Thanks for checking out my website again, and thank you for checking out this video. If you have any questions at all, or would like to have a conversation about this project, or any of the other projects I've done, or about anything development-wise, feel free to give me a call or send me an email. My contact information is located on the bottom left-hand side of the webpage. I would love to talk to you, and I look forward to it. Thank you.